Join me in welcoming to the podium Governor John Kasich.
I was so corrected. I love formalities when it's all about praising me. No, I'm kidding, teasing. Hey, thanks for being here. Thanks for your work. I was just telling somebody the other day, and I know this is going to sound like a broken record to some of the people in the press that are around whenever I speak. But, when you have a job like this, you got a lot of power. It's really pretty amazing. And then you have a lot of people who, a lot of people who are sincere, and you have those people that are, what are those people? Sycophants. They tell you, how great you are and all that other stuff. They tell that to every governor. I call them FOGs, friend of the governor, whoever the governor is, okay? And I've thought about all this a lot, because I think power is a dangerous thing. It can be addictive if you're not careful, but it's always temporary. So this is rolling around in my head. And how am I supposed to deal with this? And I've talked to my close staff, and I've talked to the cabinet about this, and I just got to tell you where I come from, and maybe it'll be helpful to all of you in some way. I worked hard. A lot of people worked hard in the campaign. I got elected, okay? But at the end of the day, for whatever reason, I believe that, and if you don't subscribe, I don't mean to offend you in any way, but I believe the Lord, for whatever reason, entrusted me with some power. And as a result of having that power, for those that are friends of the governor or whatever, that's okay. If I can do something good with people who, that are open to me, that's great. And to have the power to be able to do good, that's where it's at, isn't it? And I'm a reflection as best as I can every day, best as I can. Let me be clear about this. I don't get there most of the time, but if I can in some ways reflect the character of the Creator, then I think like I'm doing it great. And what do I mean by that? Well, I mean compassion. I mean promoting teamwork, forgiveness, redemption. I think that's where it is. I'll tell you a funny story. I'm late today because a very important person on my staff, Matt Carl's father, died. So I'm at the house after the service. Yesterday I went to the funeral home, and this, just a 7 or 8 year old boy wanted to shake my hand. And I shook his hand. And I told him he had ketchup on his shirt, but he was smart enough to know he didn't, and put one over on me. And his mother was there today. And I said, well, she said, my son was so excited he called his grandmother. And I said, well, that's great. Why don't I write your son a note? And she said, no. I guess his great-grandmother. She says, my grandmother's 89 years old, and she really likes you. He said, well, let's call her. So I called her on the phone. Her name was Martha. I said, Martha, it's John Kasich. She said, no, it isn't. I said, yes, it is, Martha. And we had a really great chat, and probably, for whatever reason, made her feel good. We have spent time paying attention to people who have been ignored for a long time in our society. The poor, the disabled, the mentally ill, and now the addicted. And all of you have this same power. The same power to do something good for these clients that you take care of. What a fantastic thing. And when you spend the time trying to help somebody to get off of a horrible addiction that not only can destroy their life, but the life of all their family, Creator smiling. That's kind of the way I look at this job now. Take advantage of the power and the moment to do as much good as I can possibly do while working with people around me who have the right to say, you're going down the wrong road. And I welcome that, because I'll tell you, you don't want to go down the wrong road in these kind of jobs. any more than you want to go down the wrong road. So after the election, I went down to Scioto County, and I met these ladies. I had been seeing them through the campaign. They just kind of come around. And then I went down, in fact, took my personal physician with me, and the sheriff was there, and the prosecutor, and a lady who worked down there in Scioto County, a lovely lady, and some of the other folks that are involved down there. And they just were telling stories that were just horrific, including the sheriff had pictures of a mom dispensing drugs in a hospital with her kids sitting at the foot of the bed. I mean, how could any human being see something like that and not be saying we got to do something? And then I remember inaugural week, I was standing on the upper landing where the state senate was, and these ladies were there with their Solace shirts. And I mean, it was an emotional moment for me. And I said, look, ladies, I'm going to do what I can. I'm not a miracle worker here, but I'm going to do what I can do. So we then had a chance to meet some really terrific people. I mean, Dr. Winslow gives up a private practice. He's not just the prescription drug issue, but he's also the medical home. Bonnie Cantor Berman, who's a big cheese at Ohio State, known nationally. She comes to work in our administration. And then for those, anybody here go to Ohio State? Anybody here go to Ohio State ever? Orton Hall. Okay. His real name's Orman, but for those who went to Ohio State, you know Orton Hall, right? And Orman's down there in the county, and he's fighting this problem. And I told him at the time, Tracy Plout, who's here doing mental health, and Kevin Miller. And, I said, this is fantastic, a chance to maybe make a difference. So then they come back to us in the cabinet meeting after the inaugural and everything, and, we're going to go after this prescription drug, and we're going to get to it, and we're going to get to it, and we're going to get to it. And I'm like, no, we're not going to get to it. We're going to do it now. Because I'm tired of tomorrow. So we get working on this, and we get our guy at the Bureau of Workers' Comp. And then we get Colonel Charles. Colonel Charles, stand up. He's a good man. He's over there at the Department of Public Safety. Steve Buren over there at Bureau of Workers' Comp. We knew about these pill mills. I mean, what the heck is going on that these things operate down? That's not right. This is not McDonald's. You drive through, get a hamburger, french fries, and some prescription drugs. So Bureau went to work on this, and we called the Attorney General, and we got Betty Montgomery, the former AG, who kind of coordinated things, and they went down there and busted those people. They didn't have any examining room. It was a joke. And so that was the beginning of the battle and the war against opiates.